Hi there and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Bailey Unicorn Vigo. These are some basic walkthrough videos on how to set up and operate the caravan as if you were coming on or off site. Starting off first, we have your black hitch head here at the front, black lever that you have to have pulled up. You can then pull up your other black lever there to wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow ball. What will happen is that will stay up, it will snap down, push up a red button and expose a green ring. We do have 13-pin electric on this caravan, so if you do have 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. You also have a gas strut handbrake. Now with these, do ensure that you pull it all the way back because there are multiple clicks, so just make sure that it's all the way back. Other handbrakes, it'll just be like a flick up. This one has to go all the way back. 2 points either side and 2 points at the back, you have inserts for your legs. The caravan itself will come with a leg winder, or you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs, they are simply used for stabilisation. Now we are using our test equipment today here, so on the door side, just on top of the axle, we have your plug-in for your mains just here. Mains plugs in nice and easy. That will then give you the 240 volt power across the van. On the opposing side, starting off first, I have an axle for the clean drinking water and your water pump. The water pump itself connects in nice and easy, and you can also lock it into place by pressing down that cap. You just slide in, push in and out on this one to get it in. You have a plastic cap to go over the top of the axle to ensure no nastiness gets in, and then at the bottom we have your strainer. Now it's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through, because if it's not at the bottom of the barrel, it can lead to coughing, gasps and splutters. But you can see here, I lock it into place just like that. Can't be removed unless you fancy snapping some plastic. Then just here, we have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then here we have our test gas bottle. It's a propane bottle. I'd always recommend propane over butane just because it has a better performance in winter, and it has an in-date black gas hose. So these black gas hoses run for 5 years, and as you can see, it's produced in 2024. That connects onto this regulator just here. You need to hand tighten that as much as you can, and then just nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight because that will put pressure on the O-ring that is inside it. So just ensure that you give it a nice nip up, but not too much pressure. Motor mover will be gone over on collection. You have 2 points here, which is where your wastewater from both your shower and sink will come from. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. And lastly, we have your toilet function. So first up below, we have your cassette toilet. To remove this, press up on the orange handle and pull out towards you. Then this handle as well, it is a little awkward to show you with one hand, does also extend out and up and can be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. Then, I want to twist this head to the side, open up that cap. You want to tilt. At the same time as tilting, continually press in your vent button just here. Now, my recommendation after you've done that is to open up this capacity, feed in some fresh water, give it a bit of a shake, and again, tilt and vent. Then on this cap here, you have measurements on the side in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes onto that cap, back onto that point, spin it in and push back the cassette so the orange handle sits behind those white teeth. Then just above we have your flush tank. The flush tank itself can hold around 12 litres of water, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill the capacity. You can also add what's called pink chemical, which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes it smell a bit nicer. Now you don't want to travel with either of these two full, so it's either on the side, there it is. You have this little bung to drain off any remaining water from the flush tank. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. Underneath your bed, you have a bit of storage and access from the outside. You also have your pull-out table, and in this compartment here is where your leisure battery would sit. Now, with Baileys, you do have to get what's called a low box battery, as it is mounted in the floor. Essentially what that means, it's a slightly shorter battery in comparison to others, just so it doesn't stick out. You also have just here your blue box, which is essentially your brain box for your motor mover, and your ignition point for that, which you will have to put in your red key for. The motor mover will be gone over on collection. If this has been sent as a reference, it may be a case that this is not where it is mounted. It could be mounted somewhere slightly different, but it's usually close to where the battery is for the maximum potential of power. Then underneath your right hand side seat, if you're looking at it face on, we have your outer boiler just here, and just on the back you can see there you have your drain valve. November to March, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan. Anytime you come off site, make sure you give it a quick drain off, and the caravan itself will have that left up in the vertical position. Vertical is drain, horizontal is allowing the flow of water to come through. It can be horizontal either way. Underneath your fridge, you have all of your trips and fuses, all your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position. I would also recommend carrying some extra fuses with you wherever you go. Then just here we have your main control panel. So right now it tells me that 13.4 volts are coming into the caravan. When you're plugged into mains, that will give you the amount from only the mains. However, when you don't have mains plugged in, that will give the amount from the battery. So anywhere between 12 and 13 volts, if you have the battery in, is a nice stable level. Anything above 13 to 14 is around about where you'll want when you have mains plugged in. You have your main on and off button just there, internal lights just here, and then you can use your respective switches. Awning light, press that in, go outside, and you can see the awning light there is all nice and on. And last bit is your water pump. So if I press that in, you'll see that light come on. Now what that is doing, it's drawing the water through. So essentially that light will stay on whilst the tank is being filled, and when the tank is filled, the light will turn off. If I were to come over and just open up a tap, you'll see the light comes on briefly and then it shuts off. That is just the water making its way through its system. Now, my recommendation is for that about 2 to 3 minutes to allow the water to come through. So whilst that happens, I'll show you the outer panel. So this is for your heating and hot water. So you turn on this panel, pressing in the on button, and there will be a green light to come on. That green light will be on continuously. Essentially, it will flash up to this screen here, which is your sort of home screen. But if you don't interact with this panel for a while, it will fade off. So it tells me right now the current internal temperature is 17 degrees. I then press menu and I come to this screen. So first up, I have the thermometer in the house. That is for the internal temperature of the caravan that you desire. You can go up or down. You can either press individually to make it go up, or you can press and hold and it will gradually go up. It goes up to a maximum of 30. Now it's not an instantaneous thing. It will take around about an hour to get to temperature. Next up, you have the shower icon, and this is respective of a water heat. So the bar right now is currently off, meaning that the water itself isn't being heated by the boiler. But when I press it in once, it will get to midway. What that does, it will get the water temperature to around about 40 or 50 degrees. Again, allow some time for it to actually come through. However, if I have it on full, what that does, it prioritizes the water over the heating of the actual caravan for around about an hour. It will keep it on that full capacity, get the water temperature to around about 60, and then after that hour, it will then drop it back down to midway. Dependent on what situation you want to use, a lot of people usually set up the water first, so the water's nice and hot. Next up, we have the amount of power. So we can either have 1, 2 or 3 kilowatt of capacity coming in, 3 kilowatts being the maximum. Now, some sites you will have to check with, especially if they're rather busy, as they won't have the 3 kilowatt capacity. You can also have just gas by having that off there, or gas with a mixture of 1, 2 and 3. Whatever is lit up green is what it's set to. Then, if I press this cog, it goes to additional settings. I'm not going to go through these, as we have set it to what we believe is the most user-friendly to use, but if you'd like to have a look inside your book pack to see what they represent, please do so. As mentioned, this screen will naturally fade off, but if you don't want any heating on at all, pressing that button, no more green LED, completely off, and it will go to the black screen. Then for the water, you can see here, what you want to do is open up the tap and let it run for about 30 seconds. If you haven't had it on for a fair bit of time, it might be a case that it'll end up with the odd cough and splutter, just because it's trying to pressurise itself. So just allow it to come through, check it on both hot and cold. It's usually on the hot tap that it will have a slightly slower stream if you've just set it up, just because it's coming through and it's pressurising. So just let it run through. If there are continual coughs and splutters, go outside, check that the water is actually plugged in and that there's plenty of water in the Akrol. The strainer is sat at the bottom of the barrel and that you have your drain valve in the correct position. But as you can see, a nice steady continuous stream. And as you can see back there, just missed it. Green light goes on and off. Just so you can see as well, as I am doing the handover videos, I've got you your Wastemaster here with a nice bag, mains lead that's wrapped up, an Akrol in a red bag, and then the steppers outside. And just here we have your hob grill and oven. So all of this operates off gas minus the electric plate. For the electric plate, just spin it to whatever mark and it will get to temperature. Everything else you have to press in, twist to the side. The gas will begin to feed through, and then just press your igniter as you would do on any sort of standard gas cooker. Now, it may be a case that the flames will light up initially and then cut out. That's just the gas making its way through its system, so just relight it all. So this is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all your burners nice and lit. Then it's the same concept for your grill. Now, with your grill, it might be a case that one side will light up first and then the other side. As you can see, they're all nice and lit. Finally, your oven. So let me see if I can do this with one hand. And there you can see your oven all nice and lit there as well. The only other real thing to note, you can travel with your gas hose on, but make sure the bottle itself is turned off. You need to also travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until these are all cold to the touch. Now, I'm not saying go out and plant your hand, but just make sure that you are allowing it to be nice and cool. Inside your left hand side cupboard here, you also have your alder tank. You don't have to do anything with this. This will be checked over during servicing, so just get it annually serviced. But essentially that works to any sort of coolant tank that you would have in your car. It is going to bubble up, so we make sure that it's at least 3 millimeters above the minimum line, but when you turn on your heating, that will bubble up. Last bit to note, you have your toilet flush just here. So open up this part there, press in your button, and you can hear that faint whirring. That is what will push around any water inside the system. To remove the waste, press away your handle, opens up the catch just there, pull it back towards you, shuts it up. You have to have it pulled back towards you to be able to remove the cassette, and when the cassette is full, there'll be a red light underneath there telling you to empty.